public relations, marketing, and social media in healthcare requires making the right moves at the right time. Welcome to the Overrated and Underused show. Here's your hosts, experienced marketers Jen Jennings and Tom Testa, with special guest Adrian Stoner. Overrated and Underused, the Overrated and Underused show.
All right, well, welcome back to all of our ONU listeners, groupies, if you will. We are here for our social media explosion, part 2. We had so much to cover last month and planned it all for one episode, but we just talked forever and ever and had a lot to debate. So this month, we are covering the topic a little bit differently than our normal structure, where instead of just talking about one thing that's overrated and one that is underused in healthcare marketing, we are breaking it down by each social media platform. So we're talking about what platforms are overrated and underused for healthcare vendors, and what platforms are overrated and underused for healthcare providers like hospitals and medical practices.
That's right. And the other exciting part, Jennifer, is if you didn't get enough of Adrian Stoner, she's back again this episode.
Back again. We're still counting the votes on who she's going to replace as the host. So get those votes in.
You know, I'm not going to allow you to continue your smear campaign on episode part 2. You know, I'm sure you're smashing me on Twitter or some other platform I don't know about. Maybe you're Snapchatting me, and there it is. It's gone a second. But I don't know. We'll see. And we'll talk more about that with Adrian this episode, as well as, again, we're going to get into the ins and outs of social media in general. Last month we talked about LinkedIn. We talked about Twitter. And if you missed that episode, Jennifer, I'm sure you didn't, but
I didn't miss it. I was here.
2 people, you were there, right? If you were one of the 2 people who actually missed it, you can actually find it on andersoni.com, where you can see past episodes too, of course, on Healthcare Now Radio.
Yes. I hope everybody tuned in and they're ready to learn more about social media and talking about the platforms that businesses, healthcare companies, and providers should or should not be using.
That's right. Let's just jump into Facebook. Ooh, I feel like this is where I become 85 overnight, and I don't even know what the best approach is for Facebook. I still see it as, pictures of my kids and my dogs, which I don't even have that. I don't even have a Facebook account. Shh, don't tell anyone.
If you were 85, you'd have a Facebook account.
Absolutely.
I think I just insulted the 85-year-old population. You're right, because they're probably like, dude, what's wrong with you? Right. So, let's jump into Facebook again. For vendors, for providers, what do we think?
I mean, here's the thing. I personally don't use Facebook as much as I did 3 years ago, 5 years ago.
Why?
But now my mom, her generation, they're on there. Their families are there. So, and it seems to be the most user-friendly. And I feel like if you want to reach the most people, it's on Facebook. Like, I know that it's taboo and not everyone deems it as professional, but like we mentioned earlier, if someone goes to your doctor's office and they have a great experience, they're likely to post it on Facebook before they do a review. If they have a bad experience, they're going to tell Facebook before they even give you a review or the courtesy call to the manager to try and make it better. So I think that it's very underused to not have a platform there to tell your story, to try to make things right.
Underused.
So it's underused. You feel it's underused on the vendor side.
I think for vendors and providers.
And providers. Okay. Well, I'm gonna counter that and see if Jennifer agrees too. If you agree, I think it's a bit overrated.
Overrated.
Again, I know I just said I don't know how to use. Okay, I'm not a big power user of Facebook, but I still think a lot of vendors, a lot of brands, when it comes to our clients, even we've seen them kind of shy away from Facebook, and that's why I'm going to say it's overrated, because I agree with them. I think that folks that the followers are on Facebook, I don't think they're the real serious follower base for a vendor. I don't think they're going to translate into sales. I don't think they're going to translate into being good brand ambassadors on Facebook. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think for vendors, the deal with Facebook to me is it's a very consumer-centric personal platform that people use to connect with their families and friends and share photos of their kids and dogs and what they're eating and ask for recommendations. If I'm looking for what's the best chiropractor in town, I'm going to ask, my network of people, which is, hundreds of people that live in the same city and people that I know. And so I'm going to ask their recommendations before I go to Google probably. And so Facebook is the platform for all of that.
Yep.
But, people just aren't there to make buying decisions unless it's a consumer brand. So, if you're selling, if you got a new boutique store and you're selling, it's just like, if it's something that individuals may buy, then certainly, Facebook would be a great avenue. But
if your target's like hospitals, health systems, CEOs, executives, trying to buy into that new mobile app or that new, what EHR, that's probably not going to be the audience that you're going to focus on targeting.
Probably not. Maybe if it was small medical practices or single doctor practices that you're looking to target, then, you could probably do, some paid Facebook ads and at least kind of have a presence there to really, hit certain demographics, or if it's, your area. But I think for practices where, you're really looking at bringing in, you're targeting to consumers and patients, and you can, even with paid ads or just, your organic page, putting out relevant content and, contest, or giveaways or just something that's kind of more shareable and engaging. Facebook's probably the most consumer friendly platform of the three we've talked about so far.
So you're saying on the provider side, you talked about the vendor side and how it's a little bit potentially overrated, but so for providers, you think it's an underused platform. Jennifer, Adrian too, educate me too, because what about things like Facebook Live? Is that something that could be a good, are people even doing that anymore? Is that good for providers? Going, for a live chat about, again, say it's, let's take COVID, right? And say it's someone who wants to just take a live Q&A chat with, on Facebook, and maybe it's a good way for them to talk to their patient base or even folks who aren't their patients and talk about tips and stuff. Is Facebook Live good for that? Or are they just not using it, just stick to posting content?
Oh, that's a really tough question.
I wouldn't do it, only because I just know people are going to jump off with asking medical questions and super personal. So be like, hey, Dr. Tom, I've got this rash on my arm. Can you look at it on the screen? What do you think that is?
Absolutely. Yeah. And then if you're continually saying, you need to see your primary care physician for that kind of information, then people are just going to be annoyed because
you're right. You can't get into Yeah, you're right. You can't get into the HIPAA stuff, talking about medical stuff and giving medical advice over it. It's just, I wasn't sure if using the platform in that way to show kind of a go live. But again, it's probably not the best platform for that.
That's when I think it would just be the best, just like we said with Twitter, for the physician to make videos and address the hot topics that maybe the people are asking questions on Facebook. Take those topics, make some short videos and post those.
Yeah, and if this was a conversation we were having 5 years ago, maybe even it would be video and all this, but it's so easy now with your mobile phone to pull together some video content that it doesn't have to be crazy branded. It doesn't have to look like, you spend $10,000 on it. You can still pull together a pretty good video and post it across really all these platforms.
Yeah. You buy a good ring light for $129 and
hello.
Do all the video content that you want.
Look at that.
Not that I've thought about doing that or anything. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Overrated and Underused on Healthcare Now Radio. Today's episode is Social Media Explosion, Part 2. What's hot and what's not in the social media world?
All right, so.
Let's jump into some more, consumer platforms.
Oh, boy.
So, Instagram.
So with Instagram,
yeah,
me too. I think that it backs up what you were saying earlier about Facebook, Jennifer, is if you have a boutique, that's a perfect place to, have your business on Instagram. But if you are an EHR vendor, I don't think people are going there to find that. They're not going to swipe up on that.
Overrated.
Right. And there have been plenty of, healthcare IT companies that have Instagrams and have jumped into Instagram. And to me, I feel like a lot of them did that really just to follow the trends. And It was the new platform and businesses were getting on there. And so they really kind of got on there and then figured out that most of their following was employees, maybe a few customers that are like already engaged with the brand, or just people that happened to find them for some reason. And you're not going to sell a $300,000 software over Instagram. Like, it's not. But I think the companies that did do it, in creative ways, and I could see the value of it, is just building up their company culture. So posting more really just for that career and kind of posting about their fun outings and, team outings, or, the office happenings, or like really cool and unique things that they're doing. But that's truly not for every company. I just don't think it's not going to be a sales vehicle. And I mean, maybe it's a nice to have just for that company culture aspect, but certainly would not put that as a top priority.
Yeah. And you know what? Oh, go ahead. Say, Adrian. Yeah.
I was just going to say, with Instagram, you can't attach a link to every post.
Right.
So you either have to go back to their bio and grab the link for what they're discussing, from the previous post, and hope that, I'm seeing this 5 days later. Is this what the link tree still goes to, or is it to their most recent post today?
Right.
And then also, what I love about Instagram is if I'm looking through an Instagram story and there's something I want, I can just swipe up and it's right there. But you have to have at least 10,000 followers to even be able to have the swipe up capability. So you really have to build up that follower base. What's so great about Instagram to me is the easy accessibility.
That's a good point. And, I do agree. I agree it's overrated. And I think what makes it seem underused to a lot of people,
Underused,
or it kind of lures certain vendors in, is because, and I don't know the count on this, but you can really just post away the text in Instagram. So I think people feel like, oh, look, I can be more newsy on Instagram because I don't even know what's the character limit on Instagram.
I don't know, but I'm not reading all that.
I totally agree. And then every time you have to click more, you're like, oh, bubble diarrhea, stop it, Yeah,
I like it to the point. Just tell me what I need.
So, but I think that gives people a false sense of using the platform, especially some vendors, because they feel they can get all their new, like Jennifer said, is someone going to buy a $300,000 medical device on it? No, but people kind of feel like they can promote the new launch of it because they can, type in a lot about, almost type in the press release, it seems, in right there in the body below the picture, which is funny because it was initially launched as a photo platform.
Do you know when I first got Instagram, probably 8 or 9 years ago, I used Instagram because they had great filters. So I would, take a picture on my phone, get on Instagram, make the filter I like, save it, and then post it to Facebook. I didn't even post it to Instagram for years. For a couple years. I just use it for the filtering process.
It was your photo filter to make you look
it's my filter
amazing.
App.
To make you look, I always wanted to see how I looked in black and white. Oh, Facebook world's going to know.
I didn't need much of a filter, but for what little I needed, that's what I used it for.
Jennifer, and please, you're being quiet, but you did the same thing. Come on.
No, I've never used a filter.
What? Well, put me in my place. Natural beauty. I'm sorry. Who needs a filter?
Who needs a filter? No. Speaking of filtering, so TikTok.
Oh boy.
They have great filters.
They have amazing filters. Like, I can actually change the shape of my face, eye color. Like, I could look like a whole different person. Cheekbones, everything. There's filters where I could have makeup on and I have no makeup on. I'm telling you, like, I can easily go from like a -3 to a 9.
Well, and you can just cinch that waistline in.
Yeah, Tom. Tom knows all about this.
Right. Yeah, he taught us.
Look, and I'm not going to sit back and be quiet because what I do know the talk, and I'm a talk stalker. So I'm there watching the videos and stuff. But again, it's something where I think it is totally used just for what we described. I mean, it's like, oh, I didn't know that, kind of life hacks and things like that, but or tricks and stuff. But I mean, can you actually see us recommending TikTok to a vendor, like one of our clients?
Overrated.
No, and that was what I was going to say. Like,
Yeah.
So if I just don't know what type of content a
Right.
healthcare IT company would put on there.
Right.
But there are plenty of providers and doctors that are on there. I mean,
That's
I've
true.
seen, like a dermatologist that's like doing, creative videos with, skin recommendations and just kind of like busting out like myths and like really just kind of informing people. But you have to be able to have that personality. I mean, it's obviously got to be probably a doctor or nurse or somebody that has like some credibility to the practice or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they really got to have that personality and come up with creative ideas to be able to do these. But I think I've seen a lot of these ER doctors and things now just because of COVID-19 and just kind of putting out information and wanting to reach that consumer audience. Now, is that driving people to go to their practice?
Right.
Probably not.
Underused.
But if they are taking that TikTok clout and fame and, promoting it other areas, on their website or, like posting those videos to their YouTube or, something else where they're like taking that same content and just where it's more searchable to people that are actually looking at their practice, then maybe, that, may make somebody want to go see them and say, oh, I really like this doctor. He seems personable and I want to go to that practice versus the practice 2 miles down the street.
Yeah, they might think it translates to their bedside manner, right? Hey, look, these folks they're approachable, they're even a little fun, and so I might get someone who's going to have the bedside manner that I want based on what I'm seeing here on social media.
I mean, it kind of depends too, because would my 80-year-old grandmother care about that, or would she be really confused and probably not want to go to the doctor because of that? I don't know. I mean, I think there's probably two sides to that coin, but
I agree. Your grandmother's that's not going to be an interest of her, but her millennial or Gen Z grandchild, that's going to be of interest, and she's going to trust their opinion. And when they say, oh, grandmother, I heard about this wonderful physician, I think that you should really go see him. He has a great reputation. Grady's going to do exactly what that precious grandchild says.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So no, I wouldn't actively add TikTok to anybody's.
Right.
It wouldn't be my first choice, but it is definitely jumping on the new trend, new for millennials, not so much.
And who knows, TikTok might have that reputation that one of these other platforms had at one time. Like, oh my gosh, I would never recommend this platform. And now, because it's evolved into something else, a better way of using it or a different way of using it, who knows where this conversation might be in 6 months from now about TikTok.
Well, and as of right now, they are like Instagram in the fact that you can't attach a link to the post.
Right.
So you have to go to their bio, and people just do not like the extra step. They like that link in the post.
Agreed.
Right.
No, it's true.
Yeah, and I mean, certainly there's, all of these platforms are evolving. I mean, we talked about, what LinkedIn used to be and how it's, kind of evolved and become this more, publishing platform.
Yep. Well, we have one more platform to talk about before we wrap up today's show, and it could be, I think it might be the oldest one. I'm not sure. It's YouTube, right? I feel like YouTube's been around even before Facebook.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I might have to Google that.
Yeah.
I think it has been.
Tweet us. Talk to us. Let us know. Correct us if we're wrong. So, but YouTube, obviously, again, it's another platform that, even though it's just a video platform, but I kind of feel it too has evolved even over the last, decade or so, unless I'm wrong and YouTube has not been around for a decade, but we're about to find that out.
You're wrong.
Come
Really?
on.
So, quick history lesson of social media platforms. In 1978, there was a bulletin board system that was launched. In 1985, we had AIM.
Oh gosh, that was in 84. Oh my God, I had no idea. Okay, so that was like the first instant messenger.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going through all of these, but actually, so 2003, LinkedIn was the first.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding. Okay.
2003, and then Facebook in 2004.
Okay.
But at that time, it was just college students could only go on Facebook.
You're right. It was like an alumni.
Addressed it, yeah.
Yep. It was more of an alumni thing. That's right. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then YouTube was 2005.
Ah. So the tube is definitely, we're on a 15-year anniversary. Happy anniversary, YouTube.
Yes, we should have had a cake and a party.
We should have. Well, we'll post the video on YouTube of us celebrating YouTube.
Yes. There you go.
But what do y'all think about YouTube now that it's 15 years young, one of the oldest but not the oldest? What do you think? Are people using it, and are they using it the right way?
I think it's underused for both vendors and providers.
Underused.
I think it's definitely a great platform for putting content. I mean, everybody loves like video content. I'd rather somebody have a video of something and talk for 2 minutes than write out 4 paragraphs. So I think it's good only because now, I mean, like if somebody's searching for something, there's the video search that comes up. So YouTube videos are popping up. So if they're looking for, how to bill better for my practice, and a YouTube video pops up about such and such, software, and maybe that they'll find that kind of organically that way. So I think it's a good way to have more content. And I think people shy away from it, and it's probably underused in that people are almost intimidated about videos or being on camera, and or think it has to be this perfect production and full production, in a studio type of video, when really you can create some simple content that can be shared relatively easily.
I think the COVID, even post-COVID world is going to shake that video fear away from people, because a lot of us now are getting on video, like, even just to talk to our colleagues and our clients and our customers and even our doctors. So I think it's funny. I think people are seeing themselves more in video, and who knows, we may see, maybe there'll be even a bigger burst of YouTube and Instagram videos, and who knows. But yeah, I think, and Adrian, what, in terms of YouTube, when it comes to providers, I know Jennifer talked a little bit about, its use and how people are using it, but what do you think is the kind of content that a provider could post on YouTube?
I agree with what she says. I think it's great to post tips and information, and, people love that connection. The only thing I have to say about YouTube is I find YouTube through Google. I Google, best application for sunscreen. I don't go to YouTube to find it. So that's my only downfall to YouTube, is I don't have it on my phone. I don't have the app, and I just don't utilize it that way.
Yep. Yeah. But it's funny because even on YouTube, and you're right, I think people don't go to the platform as a search engine per se. They're finding the videos through search engines like Google, like you both said.
Unless you're my child that wants to watch videos about other kids playing with toys, because then she's on YouTube all day.
Isn't that insane?
That's so insane. Crazy to me.
And it's a real thing. It is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I missed the mark because I should have created like her a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
About 10 years ago, or, 15 years ago when YouTube came out.
Right. Yeah, no, it's true. That's true. All right. Well, that's a wrap for us. Thanks to everyone for listening in. We are sponsored by Anderson Interactive and can be heard weekdays at 10 a.m., 6 p.m., 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on Healthcare Now Radio. We need more questions. You can email your inbox with Adrian questions, and we need them, so please keep them coming in to hello@andersoni, that's the letter I.com. Or you can tweet us at Jen_Jennings, Tom_Testa, or Adrian_Stoner. And of course, don't forget to use the hashtag #OverUnderRadio.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Overrated and Underused show with your hosts, experienced marketers Jen Jennings and Tom Testa, and special guest, Adrian Stoner.